Hey friend, welcome to Joy at Home. If this is your first time here, you are in for an absolutely special treat today. We have an awesome guest coming on the show today. And if you've been listening for a long time, then welcome back. It's going to be a great episode. Today, we're going to talk about some things that I think are really, really important. Your stuff, your peace, and your home, which is your first mission field as a mama, right? So important. And so today's guest is well known as the Minimal Mom on YouTube. Dawn Madsen and her family have lived as minimalist for over 8 years. Passionate about the message of simple living, she reaches over 1 million each month with practical tips to declutter their homes quickly. She's the author of the Declutter Your Home in 15 Minutes a Day workbook and Decluttering by Faith. Dawn and her husband, Tom, have 4 kids and live not too far away from me, just outside of the Twin Cities in Minnesota. Welcome to the show, Dawn.
Thank you so much. It's fun to be with you today.
Yeah, so excited to have you here. Before we dive into what we're going to talk about today, this just kind of popped in my head before we got on the interview together. I was thinking, how would you define the word minimalism or minimalist?
Yeah, no, that's really good because there's actually not a clear definition for it when it comes to our home. And so that's kind of left each of us who talk about minimalism and family minimalism to define it for ourselves. And so I like to define it that we only keep things in our home that we use and are currently using. And so some would go as far to say only have things that you know to be useful or beautiful. Well, I could go to Hobby Lobby and find lots of beautiful things to fill up my home. And I found that even like home decor, when I really became aware of it, was kind of clutter that caused me to feel a little bit more stressed out and anxious in our home. So I've even simplified the beautiful things. And now I try to just like enjoy nature more and not feel like I have to have all the beautiful things in my house. And so really, if you came into our house today, we only have things in there that we're currently using and finding useful.
I love that. Okay, guilty of the Hobby Lobby run. Over here, guilty of that one. I love your definition of that though. So things that are practical. For me personally, I would add to that as I call myself minimal-ish. I don't know if you can see my t-shirt. It actually says minimal-ish. I would add to that things that bring us joy and practicality. I think that's such a huge piece of it. But I'm also I'm all about the joy over here. As long as it doesn't come to a point where it's clutter, because we know that then affects even our mental health. Actually, I'd love to talk about that next. And just for you to share your thoughts, Dawn, on how you feel like clutter does affect us not only mentally, but also emotionally and even physically.
Yeah, there's a lot of research on it now that shows the connection between clutter and increased cortisol levels. So we know cortisol as the stress hormone. And so what's tricky, Katie, is that we live in such a hyperactive world. Everywhere we go are advertisements and things to do, and we're usually rushing from one thing to the next. And so we've all gotten pretty accustomed to living with this low-lying buzz of stress and anxiety. Like that is just our world we live in. And so many of us, we are not even at all sensitive to the clutter in our home and how when we come home, we can't even actually fully let our guard down because this stuff and this clutter actually is signaling to our brains and our bodies that you are not safe in your house. There is stuff in here. We don't know what it is. It's stuff you have to do. You have to put away. You have to keep it safe. Don't forget about it. Don't waste money on it. All of this stuff is sending these messages. And what's especially interesting is that when they research this, they find that women are actually even more sensitive to this than men. And I don't know if it's just because we're wired differently or because as women, for most of us, we're in charge of most of the clutter in our house and the burden of managing it and organizing it falls on us. And so it's something that if you will just take a little time in your house to just stop and look around and put some radar on what am I feeling in my house? Like, does this clutter cause me stress? Does it kind of amp up my anxiety a little bit? You might be surprised at the feelings like this stuff is actually causing in your body that we are just totally unaware of on a day-to-day basis.
I feel that so deeply. Gosh, I feel that as a busy mom, as a homeschool mom, we're upstairs in the homeschool room, which we really do keep things tidy and fairly minimal over here. But, coming downstairs and things get away from you in the kitchen and, dishes, papers, sunglasses, glasses, whatever it may be piling up on, the countertops. I feel that when I see that stuff, it makes me feel anxious and stressed out. And I truly have lived the correlation. And I feel that when we take 5 or 10 minutes and just clean off the counters or tidy up the space that we're in right now, it makes me feel physically and mentally and emotionally better, less of those.
Yeah.
You guys know the woman crying, emotional, hormonal meltdown, breakdown when we're just like feeling overwhelmed, and clutter and stuff really adds to that, I think. I heard you recently talking about the entryway of your house. And so I wanted to ask you where we even can start with decluttering. And I did love when I heard you say that when it comes to our homes, you really were sharing that as you walk in the entryway, it sets the tone for the home. That changed my thinking. Is that where you typically would say to start with decluttering, or is it somewhere else?
I think the entryway is a great place because usually for most of us, it's fairly manageable. And so what I've done over the last 8 years, as I've highly simplified our home, we got rid of about 85% of all of our physical possessions, is what happened was I started looking at every single item in our house as inventory. So everything is inventory. And again, for most of us as women, we're the chief inventory managers in our home, right? And so what happens now is if there's any area in my home that's just not working, it's like we get home and everyone takes off their shoes and coats and backpacks and everything, and it's just like a mess. And I'm like, why can't everyone put their stuff away? They know where it's supposed to go. Like, why is the system breaking down? I've organized it. Like, what's going on? Usually, if there's an area in our house like that, it means that the inventory has crept up. Often we're like, oh, my organization doesn't work, or I am a failure as a mother, or like I've taught my children nothing, right? But usually it's just a sign that the inventory has crept up, because when inventory creeps up and we're trying to manage too much stuff in a space, no amount of organizing, I know we're going to talk about organizing more, no amount of organizing is going to solve that problem for us. We have to first reduce the inventory, and then we can look at the organization and see if we need to make any adjustments to it. And so in your entryway, it really depends. We all have different sizes. Ours is probably like in the medium-ish area, even though our house is really small. We luckily have a pretty big entryway. But for us, so we have 4 kids, so there's 6 of us total. Everyone gets 2 of everything. So 2 pairs of shoes, and that's it. No more than 2 coats at any given time or season. No more than 2 hats, 2 pairs of gloves. It is like, and for some of us, like, I mean, for Tom and I, like, we don't even have 2 of everything, right? But that is the limit, because as soon as the extra inventory starts creeping up, like, there's no possible way that we're going to keep it all under control.
That's so good. So taking an inventory, and I'm thinking through my own entryway as you're sharing that. One thing I did to help out there was we have a decent sized entryway as well. And we have these like cubbies. There's kind of like a open closet area with like a bench that you can set on and some shelving below it. I did finally put a laundry basket out there so people would at least put their shoes in the laundry basket, slide it into the shelf, so it makes for a quick cleanup. But I'm thinking that through, and I'm thinking like exactly what you said. There have been so many times when I've thought, gosh, guys, it's so easy to just put your shoes, in the cubby or in the basket. Like, obviously I'm failing as a mom. That's not necessarily true. I love how you shared thinking of it as inventory. If they didn't have 3 or 4 pairs of shoes, there would be less stuff and more peace out there, right? Less stuff to clutter up, less stuff to organize. And gosh, I'm thinking I only have 2 pairs of shoes out there. And my husband, I saw 4 pairs of shoes out there this morning. So maybe we can have a
one
chat.
or 2 that like the shoes. Yeah. And then also beyond that, looking at, are there things that just don't belong here? Especially if you have kind of a smaller space, maybe you can't keep all of the off-season hats and mittens or something there, or pet supplies, or what other stuff. Like, again, often we just have to take a step back and be like, hang on a second, like, what unintentionally got put here or just set here, or for whatever reason landed here, and what stuff needs to get moved out again so that the space can function really easily. Cass from Clutterbug will say, she said, it has to be just as easy to put something away as it is to leave it out. And so what that means is any of our organizing spaces, they can't be full. If something is full, no one's going to put anything away. So it has to be half full or not quite full so that there's even room to put this stuff in. And I know we've all experienced that with our kids.
Yeah, great point. And I think personalities come to play in this too. I know in my family, I'm super organized, want things put away, want things tidy. My husband and a couple of my kids, are more like my husband is, where it actually doesn't bother them to just come in and throw stuff down. So that probably could be a whole entire podcast episode on its own. But do you have any just quick tips for the husband or the kid who does throw stuff down or maybe stack stuff right there in the entryway? Like, how do you lovingly convey to them the importance of not doing that?
Yeah. Well, it's a little different, spouses versus kids. For kids, I love the idea to say, if you pick it up, you get to keep it. If I pick it up, I get to keep it. And so it's really helpful for toys and that kind of stuff. But even for shoes, like most people want to leave the house with shoes on. So if you have collected both of their pairs of shoes and now they have no shoes to leave with, they might have to do something to earn it back or whatnot. And so I love that. Again, we don't want to have any power struggles, right? But it's just like, hey, you pick it up, you can keep it. I pick it up, I get to keep it. But that doesn't necessarily translate to spouses. So that might just be like, hey, like clutter really affects me. And I am like doing my darndest to keep this area picked up. Would you mind trying just a little bit more? I know you don't see it. Could you try just a little harder to put your stuff away too?
Right. So good. And then you've got the whole emotional attachment thing. So now whether it's us, ourselves, as the woman, or whether it's our spouse, how do we deal with emotional attachment? Like, what is the trick to actually letting things go?
Yeah, that's really good. So there's a few things. I think one is recognizing that most of us were raised in a household where you do not get rid of perfectly good things. So if we have something that's perfectly good, then we save it and we keep it for just in case. And, I know for me, I grew up on a farm and there was no extra money to buy frivolous things. And so in our household growing up, often it was messy just because my mom worked full time and there was just always so much going on. But we didn't have the inventory issues that we do now because now stuff is so easy to acquire. And so most of us have not been taught how to manage this much inventory. We haven't been given permission to say, hey, it's actually okay for you to get rid of perfectly good things. Does it feel kind of wrong in the beginning? Yes, absolutely. But we have to begin to prioritize our mental health and our sanity and creating our home to be this haven, this retreat from the crazy world. We can live in a crazy world. None of us are going to single-handedly change that, but we need our house to be a peaceful place to come home to. And so that means I have to start shifting how I'm looking at this stuff. So sometimes we're attached to things just because we've been raised to believe, don't get rid of something that's perfectly good. That is wasting money. That's not being a good steward of your resources. You keep it, you organize it, and then you use it that day when you need it. Another reason can be, like, I experienced this a lot. Like, well, I never got to have that when I was growing up. So my kids' toys or even clothes, like I didn't get to buy a lot of new clothes. And so now I have some disposable income and I'm like, I'm going to buy craft supplies and I'm going to buy clothes and I'm going to buy these things for my kids that I thought they always wanted. And so then when I realized like, oh my goodness, their toy room is exploding and now I need to start to get rid of some of that stuff. It feels very strange. Again, I'm like, why aren't they playing with these toys? What am I doing wrong? Maybe I just need to get it more organized and then they'll play better. And again, the truth, it comes back to the inventory. It's just too much. It's too much for any of us. So we have those emotional attachments to it. And then there's just a lot of guilt. I spent money on it. And most of us don't have a lot of extra money. And so I need to keep it and use it. And that's the only way to right this wrong of this wrong purchase. And so that's why I don't want to like diminish, like decluttering is hard a lot of times. There's easy stuff, but then there's a lot of hard stuff because we're confronted with like every wrong buying decision we've ever made. And so I want us to be sober minded about it. Like, yes, there are things that are going to be difficult, but the bigger picture, the benefit and the payoff from this is going to be so worthwhile. Any money you've spent, you're going to more than make up in it, in how your house feels and how you feel being in your house when you are able to move this stuff out. So that was the long answer for that. I do have a couple tactics though, but I'll let you jump in first before I go to those.
Yeah, no, I feel like beliefs and mindset are such a huge part of that. And it almost comes full circle back to what we talked about at the very beginning, when you're talking about our kids with so much stuff and so many toys and all of this. They are feeling mentally, emotionally overwhelmed and stressed out by the amount of stuff. So you're talking about all those beliefs that we hold, replacing those beliefs with the truth that less stuff, less clutter is going to equal more peace. And dare I say, even better health in the long run. I think that's maybe the trick. Maybe that's what it boils down to.
Yeah. And so there's a couple tools we can use too. And so we have a time will tell bin and a memory box. And so the time will tell bin is where we time test stuff, where we set it aside for a little while. I used to call it a quarantine bin until we actually were in quarantine. And then that just had like really negative connotations, right? But it kind of paints the picture of it. Like, we are going to set this stuff aside for a little while and see if we miss it and help create some detachment from it. And so you can literally take an empty Rubbermaid tote or an empty Amazon box, and then whatever stuff you're not using, you don't plan on using, but for whatever reason, you're just having a hard time decluttering, then you can put it into the box and set it aside. And there's a few different areas that I think this is especially helpful. In the kitchen, often we have expensive gizmos and gadgets that we've spent money on. We don't use them, but we have a hard time, or little appliances, those types of things. So we can clear them out of the kitchen, create some more space in there so our kitchen functions better. Put it away for 3 to 6 months, and then revisit it and see, hey, did I miss any of this stuff? Did I go back to pull it out again? It also works really well for clothes. When it comes to clothes, as women, we're really hard on ourselves in this area too. And so if there's clothes we're hoping to fit into, we can tuck them aside for a while and use a time will tell bin and see if we miss them. I'm really passionate that no matter what our current size and shape is, we should always have clothes that fit right here today, and have those be front and center in our closet, and let the other stuff that makes us feel bad, get that out of the closet for now. Like, that's not motivating any of us. And then kids' toys is another great place to use a time will tell bin, because we might be attached to the toys, they might be attached to it, we might be unsure how far to go, but we can box up a bunch of them, set them aside, and see if anyone misses them. And so there's a great book, Simplicity Parenting, and the author, Kim John Payne, he recommends first just have the goal to cut your toys in half. So look for the ones that are broken, outgrown, that they don't play with anymore, missing pieces, and either throw away or set aside those. And then in a couple weeks, work to cut them in half again, and just do it as an experiment and see how your kids like it. But every mom I have ever heard who has ever done this, their kids love it. And it makes the whole household feel better. And so no one has ever gone back and emptied the boxes and brought all the toys back in.
Those are great tips. Oh man, I wish I had heard about that tip earlier in my life, because there have been times where I've been just frustrated with all the kids' stuff, and I've gone in there and just totally gutted the room, took everything, so much stuff, taken it to donations. And a week later, my kiddos are like, Mom, where's my whatever it is? And I'm like, oh shoot, that's gone, and then I have to come clean. They love having their room clean, but I think that time will tell, gives it a few weeks. It kind of like eases that emotional attachment and transition. It really eases that. And if there is something that, someone in your family is just like, that was so special to me, where is it? Then it's not gone yet. That's such a great tip. That's good. That's good.
But let's also, as moms, we really worry about traumatizing our kids, because now that's a big word we worry about, right? Like, we don't want to do anything to cause our kids trauma during their childhood, right? And so we worry, if I go in and start decluttering their toys, then I could traumatize them. And I actually asked a child psychologist about this. I was like, hey, because again, in the book Simplicity Parenting, he's also a child therapist, and he says, parents, you have complete permission to declutter your kids' toys, like, without them there. Totally acceptable. But again, I'm like, okay, but we worry about the whole trauma thing. And he was like, unless you are ripping their favorite toy out of their hands and burning it in the front lawn, like most of us have good attachment with our kids and we have equity with them. And so we're not going to be traumatizing them by decluttering their toys. Could we make a mistake? Yes, with anything as we're decluttering, we could make a mistake. But he said, just say, hey, I made a mistake. What can I do to make it up to you? And we want to model to them, it's okay. It is totally okay to make a mistake. And often what you're going to find is that it wasn't actually about the item, right? We know this about our kids. They're feeling these emotions. They pin it on the item. They just want time with you. Our kids, I mean, you can see the research. Our kids have never been more lonely. They're drowning in stuff and they're lonely. So it's not the stuff that they're worried about. Kids have a totally different relationship with stuff than we do. They want time. They are so desperate with time with caring adults. And so often, even if we make a mistake, we could say, hey, how could I make it up to you? Should we bake cookies? Should we go for a walk? Should we play a game? And they will be totally fine.
That's so good. I've said over and over here on the podcast, kids spell love, Time. That's how they spell love. And I think it's so true.
Totally.
Okay, let's talk organization. So I'm really excited about this. Let's take a walk through the home. And again, we could do, I feel like
you like organizing.
I do. I am like, organization queen over here for sure. Self-proclaimed. And I know we could do an entire episode on like every separate room of the house, but let's just take a quick walk through most people's homes, room by room, and just throw us a few tips. What do we do? Where do we start? What are the most important areas to declutter and organize? And what's the best way to go about it?
Yeah, I think there's two things that you could declutter right away or simplify that are going to make the biggest difference in your home. And that would be kids' toys, which we were just talking about. And then also clothing, everybody's clothing and linens. And so it's not uncommon to have laundry kind of, I mean, if you think about it, like think of all the areas in your house where laundry is. We have hampers in bathrooms and laundry baskets in bedrooms and laundry on the couch or the dining room table to be folded. It's in the laundry room. I mean, almost every area in our home ends up with some kind of laundry in it. And so we highly simplified all of our wardrobes through this process. And what I was not even thinking about, the benefit was going to be is that laundry is no longer a daunting task for me because literally everyone in my household could dirty every piece of clothing that they own, and it's still not going to be mountains of laundry like it was in the past. I never have piles on the couch or the chair or the dining room table anymore. We don't even have laundry baskets in our house. I know that's somewhat controversial. You do you, it's fine. We don't have hampers. If people dirty clothes, they bring them directly to the laundry room. I don't have to go around and collect laundry then to be able to do a load of laundry. It's always in there in the laundry room. And so again, if we're looking through this lens of like what areas of my house are not working, if laundry is an area that's not working, you have too much inventory. And it feels very counterintuitive to say, if laundry is a beast in my house, then I need to cut down. No, because we think I need more bath towels and I need more washcloths and I need more clothes for the kids so I can go more days between washing it. And that is the worst possible thing that we could do. And so I would highly recommend reducing the amount of laundry inventory. And even then in our laundry room, because I am trying to like train all of our kids to help with it and everything, we have baskets where each one holds one load of dirty laundry or like washing machine load. I have one for whites, one for blacks that I don't want washed with bath towels. But otherwise the rest are just a mix of whatever. And so it's very easy like visually to see like, hey, this basket is full. That's a full load of laundry. Do it, right? Because otherwise someone's not going to have a towel tomorrow for a shower. And it has worked so well. You know, when it's all piled up together, we're having to sort stuff out to make a load of laundry. And it's just like, we don't even know how many loads it is. It's very overwhelming. And so having baskets for each load of laundry in our laundry room, if you have the space, has been a game changer for us.
That's really good. So I've done a couple of things with our laundry over here. Each kid does have a basket in their own room. But I do one load of laundry a day, start to finish, wash, dry, fold, put away. Is that something that you typically,
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. And then by the kids having their own individual baskets, then I know it's all going to that one room where it sounds like yours are together. So I'm wondering, do you have the whole family come in and help out? Like, hey, everybody grab your clean clothes, fold them and put them away? That's
Yeah,
great.
so we don't fold laundry. Pretty much, I mean, 90% of our laundry does not get folded. It just gets shoved into bins and drawers and whatnot. But we have so we have kind of like zones in our house that each of the kids are in charge of. And so our 12-year-old is in charge of laundry. And so she does all the laundry for everyone. So it kind of depends how you run it in your household. So when clothes come out of the dryer, again, because we have no laundry baskets, she just sorts it quickly and then she'll put it on whosever bed it is. And then it's their job to put it away. So if they want to fold it, they can hang it up, they can. But she kind of distributes it all. And then she'll fold like the bath towels and the kitchen towels and just put everything away right away. We also have a main floor laundry room. So I know if that's not the case for some people, that makes it a little trickier too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I have to know, do you subscribe to the theory of if it takes 5 minutes or less, do it now?
Oh, yes,
You do.
absolutely.
Okay.
Like we have to. Well, I don't know, 5 minutes, for sure a minute or less, but yes. And so this is where we're different, Katie, right? Because you're naturally organized. And so you naturally tend towards these things and these systems. I'm not. Like, I'm very much a messy person. I like to think of it as creative, right? Like I'm not naturally organized. And so that's where, for me, the only way I've been able to stay on top of our house and enjoy it is by having the inventory so low. But then this is something else I've had to train myself to do, is like, if you use something, put it away, right?
Yeah.
Like all these little things of like, if it's going to take a minute or less, do it right away. So that is something I've like had to like really be aware of and do. But again, as we've gotten our house so highly simplified, it's like, it's actually kind of fun now because it makes our house so easy to manage. So I just want to say, for anybody who's like messy and you're like, I've tried that, I've tried to like put things away right away, like keep working on lowering the inventory. And like, it's like everything just falls into place. Like everything is so much easier.
I totally see that. I have really close friends who are the total opposite of me. And the laundry, you talking about the laundry actually made me think of a couple of them that, you know, they collect these mountains of laundry and then they feel really overwhelmed. And so I think you're spot on with just lowering the inventory. It makes so much sense. There's obviously going to be less there to deal with if there's less, you know, there to begin with. Let's talk about the kitchen and the bathroom and this low inventory and how that kind of works out and what we can do to organize or declutter in those two main areas.
Yeah. So again, for the kitchen, I mean, often one of the pain points with the kitchen is that it's not easy to put stuff away and therefore it doesn't get put away. And for most of us, the things in our kitchen, we haven't really thoughtfully curated them. It's been a mishmash of, well, I registered for this for my wedding and I thought kitchen should have this. And I went to a pampered chef party and I got this. And I saw this stuff on clearance at Target and it was super cute. So I bought this. And we haven't actually put a lot of thought into what's in our kitchen. And so I feel like our kitchen needs to serve us, especially if we are homeschooling moms and we are home all the time using our kitchen. That's probably one of the most annoying things about homeschooling to me, is having to cook 3 meals a day at home. I'm like so over it. And I involve my kids and they do their own breakfast. They rotate. I mean, I only actually make dinner some days. And so like I've outsourced a lot of it, but the way I could do that is that our kitchen has to match our season of life right now. And so we are not doing fancy cooking or baking. So even my bread maker, I'm like, I haven't used it in 3 months. I'm moving it out. Instant Pot gone. Like I'm over the Instant Pot. We sometimes use it to make eggs. And if you use your Instant Pot every day, that's fine. You keep yours in your kitchen. But like, we really have to start looking and saying, if I am not using this for my current season of cooking and the season of life I'm in right now, could I move it out or donate it, get rid of it, so that our kitchen only has stuff in here that we're using? Because what you're going to find then is that it is super easy to organize. It is so easy to keep clean. And I actually kind of like cooking again in a clean kitchen. I realize now when I look back, I'm like, I always said I hated cooking. And I'm like, well, I didn't like cooking in a messy kitchen. Who wants to be in a messy kitchen? Like nobody does. So that has made the biggest difference, is highly reducing the inventory.
That's so good. Dishes are the number one household chore that I just do not love. And bless my husband's heart, probably 90% of the time he does jump in and do that one household chore, which is so great because I think teamwork is a part of this. If you're married and you have a spouse, you got to get on the same page, even if your personalities are different, just pitching in and being a team. And he does a great job of helping me with dishes. I cook and I cook and clean the counters and he does the dishes almost every single night. But I saw, do you have like 1 or 2 sets of dishes per family member? Did I see a video with that?
Yeah, so we only have one set of dishes per person. So like one plate, one bowl, 2 cups per person, and then we have 2 extra settings if we have like company. I mean, if we have like company, then we'll either do paper products or I have a company bin that has Melmac dishes in it that I'll bring out. But day in, day out, we only have one set of dishes per person. Again, because I know there's people listening right now and they're like, what are we talking about? Just run the dishwasher every night and like you're fine, right? And I'm like, right, except I am 40, almost 41 years old, and I've never been able to develop the habit of running the dishwasher every night. I don't know what's wrong with me, right? But I do know if I highly simplify the dishes and in each person in our family only has one set of dishes, guess what? If they don't wash their cereal bowl tonight, like they're going to be hand washing it in the morning. And I honestly don't care if it goes to the dishwasher or if they hand wash it, because again, you could stack up all of our dishes dirty next to my sink and it's not going to hardly look like anything and it's not going to stress me out. And so most days now we just hand wash them when we're done eating and put it on the drying mat till they're dry. And then sometimes they get put away. Sometimes they just sit there till the next meal. Sometimes we use the dishwasher depending on how many dishes we have from making dinner. But it's a non-issue. Like I don't have to try and continue to beat myself into submission to running the dishwasher every night. I can just say, hey, I'm not able to develop that habit. So I'm just going to lower the inventory so that it controls itself. You have to wash it tonight or no one has dishes tomorrow.
That's such a great way too to teach your kids discipline and self-control. So I think that's fantastic. I think there are other things that we could do. One thing I've started doing is bulk cooking or batch cooking. So I'm only cooking, a few times a week versus every single day or 2 or 3 times a day. Like I'll grill up a huge batch of burgers and shrimp and chicken, and then it's all in the fridge. And actually it makes less dishes too that way because you're only cooking that one time. How about the bathroom?
Totally.
The bathroom. That seems like a simple place
Yeah.
that people could start, but could be full of clutter.
Well, there's a lot of guilty clutter in bathrooms because, man, think of how many makeup and beauty and hair products that we buy, like thinking it's going to be the solution, right? I love social influencers. I know we fall into that category, but I impulse buy so many things from them. There are people I've literally had to stop following on Instagram because I'm like, I love your personality. You make me buy so many. I'm using the word make, like obviously jokingly, but I'm like, when it's 9 o'clock at night and my guard's down and I just want to look pretty the next day, like, of course I'm going to buy the thing, right? And it's only $15 and whatever, and if I buy 2, shipping's free. So of course I'll buy 2, right? And so, like we acquire so much inventory in the bathroom and then we keep it because we feel bad about it. And what will make me feel better is if I use it. And so permission to let go of all those things that you have acquired, hoping and thinking maybe that was going to be the solution to your thin hair or whatever, right? We can let those things go. I like to, Joshua Becker will talk about, he's like, you have to know yourself because some people will systematically use all of that stuff up. They're like, I might not like it. I don't like how it smells. I don't like whatever about it. I will use it because I'm not going to buy something new. You have to know yourself. Are you the type of person that will systematically use up everything in your bathroom? Or are you not? And I'm not. I don't like using things I don't enjoy. So I need to donate it, throw it away, pass it on to a friend or sister that might want to try it. But if you will highly simplify your bathroom, it makes getting ready so much more enjoyable. So now my new favorite hack in the bathroom is a get ready bin. So I just have a bin under our sink that I have put everything in that I use to get ready in the morning. And I pull it out, I use the stuff, and then I put it back in and I tuck it away. Previously, the stuff was kind of spread out between different drawers and different spaces in there. And a gal in my membership group was like, hey, try this out. And I'm like, why do we not all do this? Why did I not think about this? And then another gal took it a step further. She's like, well, I also have an evening bin where I put all of my like skincare and all my stuff that I do at night and my vitamins and that I want to remember to take. And I'm like, that's brilliant, right? And it's so easy then to use the stuff and then put it back away again, keep our vanities clear. And then again, mentally, there's no clutter. So we're feeling better about the day.
So good. I love that video that you did. I watched that one and it was great just to have it in a little bin or a little basket and then tuck it away under your sink. You can wipe down your counters after that. And it just looks so beautiful and inviting. And then it's a space that you actually want to be in and enjoy, and a space that brings
Yeah.
you peace. So once we
And clutter attracts clutter. Like, so
yes.
any area of our house, if we let anything sit out, then it's like it's permission for other people to leave their stuff sitting out. So whether it's the bathroom vanity, the kitchen counters, the coffee table, anything sitting out. And so that's why, if at all possible, we want to keep these spaces as clear as possible. It feels a little bit weird in the beginning to have super clear counters because you're like, there should be decor, or there should be something. But once you get used to it, you will never go back because, like you said, it's so easy to wipe down. There's not random clutter collecting. It's super easy for our brain to know if something's on there, it needs to get put away. And we're not having to question everything. It's a game changer, especially if you're in a busy season of life.
They say nothing draws a crowd like a crowd. Nothing draws clutter like clutter, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Once we've decluttered and organized, how do we prevent stuff from piling back up?
Yeah, that's such a good question. You know, the good thing is that as you work to declutter your home, I do think you develop an aversion to buying a lot more stuff. And you know, there's other tactics of like, I really only do order pickup now at Target and Walmart, even Aldi too. Aldi has that like aisle, you know, of all this stuff. And I'm just like,
A sucker
they just
for
like
it.
know like what we all want to impulse buy when we're at the grocery store, right? So I'll do pickup. I don't window shop. I don't go shopping just for fun, like with friends or anything anymore. We don't really go into the dollar store. It helps that they raise the price of the dollar store to $1.25. Honestly, I'm so cheap and frugal. I'm just like, nope, sorry, no longer worth it. A lot of those were borderline products at $1, not doing it, right? And then they have the dollar plus, and I'm like, no, what are we doing? And so not even going into those places. And it is something that you really can like detox from. And that over time now, it's like not even a thing for me to not buy stuff and bring more stuff in.
So good. So good. Dawn, thank you for everything that you shared today. It has been an absolute joy to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being here. Can you let us know where our listeners can follow you or connect with you?
Thank you, Katie. Yes, I spend most of my time on YouTube. So we have lots of videos to help you declutter every area of your home and how to explain it to all of your well-meaning family members and extended family too.
And the name of your channel is The Minimal Mom.
Sorry, The Minimal
right?
Mom. Yes, just search The Minimal Mom on YouTube and it'll pop up.
Yes, Dawn has so many fantastic videos over there. Definitely go check that out. Give it a subscribe and be sure to follow Dawn everywhere. The Minimal Mom, you can find her all over. She's amazing and she's going to change your life. Thank you again, Dawn, for being on the show today. We are signing off until next time with joy.